Yes, ma'am. It's Daryl Yoshihashi, Daryl. Last name is Yoshihashihi.
Thank you. Mr. Yoshihashi, what do you do for a living?
Ma'am, right now I'm a fire inspector, previously firefighter-paramedic,
And who do you work for?
Los Angeles Fire Department.
And how long have you been a fire inspector?
7 years.
So your current job as a fire inspector, what does that entail?
Going to buildings, make sure the fire alarm, fire protection features are signed off along with the various trades, like with LADBS, like electrical, mechanical, before they get their certificate of occupancy.
Now you mentioned that was the last 7 years. What did you do before that?
So the last 10 years was at the fire station, firefighter and then firefighter paramedic. And
can you explain then when you said firefighter and a fire paramedic, what does that mean?
I guess, fire and EMS in LA City, we have to do both. So we're either running medical calls or fire-related incidents, and so we have to be able to do both. So we have the whole, yeah.
And back in January of 2017, then, were you employed as such with LA Fire Department as both a fireman and a paramedic?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, sorry. So when you went to scenes, then, what was your primary duties?
Pretty much abate the emergency, whatever it was. I would say keeping the members of our crew safe and as well as ourselves, and then also if there's medical calls, making sure that we got the patients, addressed their medical concerns, got them to the appropriate medical facility. I would say that was most of it. A lot of taking care of families, making sure everybody was taken care of there in terms of that. And I would say in terms of fires, make sure it was put out, overhaul, make sure we didn't miss anything so that we didn't have any rekindles. And just a lot of stuff back at the fire station was just making sure we took care of everything around the station, fire prevention, anything we needed to do around the community.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers.
Yeah, you did. That's a lot. Now, as far as a paramedic, then, were you trained in life-saving measures?
Yes.
Can you explain your background, training, and experience that qualified you for that position, specifically back in January of 2017 as a firefighter as well as a paramedic?
Yes, ma'am. So I guess coming onto the job, we had to be EMTs, so more basic level of care, taking blood pressures, bandaging, CPR, those kind of things. But it is an option for us to go to paramedic school if we weren't already paramedics. So I guess our scope within LA County, we're overseen by a medical director, and kind of expands. So we can now, as far as doing EKGs, starting IVs, giving various drugs for various medical conditions. So for us, not only just running calls, but every 2 years we have to get recertified, go through recertification training, 48 hours of continuing education training to just kind of keep up with our skills, in addition to running drills at the station or on scene, just in real life, I guess. So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. On January 23rd of 2017, around 5:06 in the evening, were you notified to respond to a location specifically at 5012 Queen Victoria in Woodland Hills, which is the county of Los Angeles?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain how you're dispatched to a location?
Yes, ma'am. So we get that comes through our station alert alarm system. That call basically goes to our dispatch center, and then we get dispatched from the station, or if we're out and about training or something like that, we get it on our computer screen on the MDT, which is in our rigs, and then also on the radio. But in that case, we were dispatched from the fire station, and then that's probably all information that's given, that's filtered through our dispatch and whoever's handling that call, and what I guess they see, what level of care, what fire resource they need to send based off what's happening, I guess, on the dispatch side.
Ultimately, then, did you review and hear whether subsequently the 911 call that was initiated, which sent you to that location?
Not the all the information, I guess, yes, for just, yeah, for what, from what, yeah.
Okay. If I may mark as People's 1, it is a 3-page document. It's a transcript of a 911 call with the accompanying CD. I don't know if you want it as People's 1 and 2 or A and B.
Your choice.
Anything?
Let's make it 1 and 2.
Clerk? Okay. People's 1 will be the transcript. People's 2 can be the accompanying CD. May I pass the transcripts out?
Very well. Ladies and gentlemen, the transcript that's going to be given to you is not the evidence. It is the call itself that is the evidence. The transcript is just to assist you in listening to the call. At the end of the call, counsel, please retrieve People's 1. If I can have the original People's 1, 2, please. Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you.
And then I'll, with the court's permission, I'll play the call. Thank you.
He's in the house, is that correct? What? He's in the
You don't get outside.
Okay, he's away from the fire, is that correct?
He's a little bit near, but yeah, he's kind of near the fire.
Okay. Go ahead and put him on back. Put him on second thing you can.
Okay.
You don't smell gas, or anything, is that correct? I don't want you in harm's way. Do you smell gas? Okay, good. Go ahead and put him on back.
Okay, I'm really trying. I'm really getting really heavy.
Try it again, keep trying. Use all your strength, okay?
It's helpful upstairs. Oh my God.
Just get him on the back, try to do this quickly.
Okay, I'm trying. It's really heavy. That's not working. Oh my God.
Just pull his arm one direction and get him on his back.
I am.
Okay, you're doing good. Keep doing it. We gotta get him on his back. Do it quickly. Try again. You gotta keep trying. Get him off the chair. You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep going.
Okay, but if I pull him off the chair, he's getting closer to the fire.
Okay, please use the chair. Pull it away.
And is that a fair, accurate depiction of the 911 call associated with this call that you responded to?
Yes, ma'am. Sounds.
I'm sorry?
Please retrieve the transcripts.
Now, during the pendency of the call we just listened to, then, were you en route to the location?
Yes, ma'am.
That day, were you working with a partner or another team member?
Yeah. So on the rescue, it was me and another firefighter-paramedic,
And who was that?
Brendan Liu.
Did you go straight to the location as soon as you got the call?
Yes,
Okay.
from our fire station. Yeah.
When you arrived there, was there anybody else as far as medical support or police officers that arrived prior to you?
Call LAPD, and then there was another engine company so we responded as a rescue from our district, but the rescue in the district where it was happening, they happened to be out maybe on another medical call, so there was their engine there who was staffed with a captain, an engineer, and two firefighters and their EMTs, and at that time they kind of gave us an idea of what was going on, and they needed us to, basically assess and kind of for us pronounce or determine death, because they just needed us there for the assessment portion of it.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you arrived there was fire department paramedic personnel there.
Yes.
Now you mentioned LAPD. Was there any LAPD that you recall there?
At the time, yes, but there were, but I don't recall, how many units or anything like that. They had secured the scene for us to come in and do the medical portion.
Okay. Now can you just walk us through when you got there, what happened?
So when we got there, we got our medical equipment out, and then we met with the captain who kind of, there was another paramedic engine there, I should say, and that medic said basically, that the victim had penetrating trauma, and then so he needed us to hook our life pack up to run through a couple tests to basically determine that the victim wasn't going to be resuscitated on the field, which we proceeded to do. So we used our medical equipment. We checked for what we do in LA County, it's reference 814. So there are certain times when we will not work up victims, like if there are obvious signs of death, like crush, or if they're decapitated, things along that line. But for the victim, it was that he had a massive laceration and penetrating trauma to him, and then he was basically asystolic on the monitor, so he was flatlined. We listened to his lung sounds, we listened to his heart, everything was coming back negative, so we were able to basically pronounce him, dead at that time.
At that time?
Yes.
Can you describe, in a moment I'll get to a couple photos, can you describe then, did you enter the house through the front door or side door? How did you enter the house?
We went through the garage, I believe through the kitchen, and out to the back patio area.
Was there anything in particular you noticed on your route from the garage through the kitchen to the back patio?
Dark. It was dark at the time. The fireplace was still on. And then when we got there, obviously, large amounts of blood in the back patio area.
When you say the fireplace was on, was that inside the house?
Outside in I think it was a pool area, back patio pool area.
Okay, was it like a fire pit?
Fire pit, excuse
Okay.
me.
I'm going to show you, if I may, Marcus, Peoples 2, a photograph, back patio of an individual lying over a chair.
People's 3.
3, sorry.
So, Mark?
People's 3 up on the screen. Does this appear to be the scene that you witnessed as you arrived there?
Yes, ma'am. That would be it.
And if I may, Marcus, People's 4, a closer version of People's 3?
Yes.
People's 4. Again, is that an accurate depiction of how the scene appeared as you got there?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, Marcus, People's 5, a different angle which shows the person on the chair with what appears to be a phone next to him.
You may.
People's 5, same thing, from a different angle. Is that the scene as you saw it?
Yes.
And then finally, People's 6, if I may, mark, it is a close-up of the victim's face and torso, looking at his right side of his face with some
Yes.
light. And People's 6, is that an accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, as far as your expertise, you saw no signs of life. Is that correct?
Correct.
Who pronounced him deceased?
So I was doing the hands-on component with all the medical equipment, and my partner, he typically you have the person doing the hands-on stuff, and the other partner is doing all the documentation, the radioing in with the base station hospital, and he pronounced and documented as such.
Now, when you got to this location, did you notice any other blood anywhere, any other evidence anywhere else throughout the house? And I have People's 3 up on the screen, but did you notice anything else in the house?
Ma'am, I remember there was blood in the kitchen, from what I recall. Like somebody had walked through it and then went through the kitchen, and then that's about what I remember. Countertop was kind of in disarray, and yeah.
And let me ask you, is it your role or your job then to document all the other evidence at the scene?
For us, mostly, ma'am, it's just the medical component.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, when you got there, was there any other individuals that appeared to be family members or anyone related to the victim at the scene?
Yes, ma'am. I remember the wife and I believe, I think it was one of the daughters, a daughter on site, on scene.
And can you describe, do you recognize the wife in court?
It's been a couple years. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't know?
I do not. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So, do you remember then, what you believed to be a wife and a daughter, is that correct?
Correct.
Now,
Yeah.
do you remember anything about the reaction of those individuals?
The one thing that sticks out the most is, just a lot of what I remember from those years back is the daughters was very distraught. And in fact, we had stuck around a couple hours after for, probably for the reasons, just all the emotional things going on at the time, that we stayed for support.
And do you remember anything that sticks out about the wife?
I'm sorry, I do not recall.
Nothing caught your attention as overly distraught?
Sustained?
Did anything catch your attention emotionally about the wife, if anything?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't recall. I really just, it's been all those years, just remember the daughter, and that kind of sticks out a lot.
And where were those two individuals?
They were in the living room, adjacent living room, dining room, I guess, say.
And do you know what they were doing?
No.
Okay. So you stayed there for about a couple hours after, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then why did you stay for a couple hours?
We were just told, I want to say it was by our supervisor, the captain of the engine, to stay, just in case the family members needed to, just because of the emotional times, there for support, for grieving, and then also if anybody addition needed to be transported to the hospital. So we stayed in the rescue, finished up our paperwork. I got everything set for our next call and stayed there.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
One moment. I'm going to see you at the sidebar. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is Paramedic Hayashi, is that how you,
Yoshihashi.
Yoshihashi?
Yes, sir.
And your title, again?
Fire inspector.
Fire inspector.
Yes, sir.
Your job was to go there and see if you could render medical aid to the victim, is that correct?
Correct, sir. Yep.
That was your only job?
Yes, sir.
Did you prepare a report in this case?
So I hope I answered your question, but the only report was the one that my partner on the rescue, when he finished up with the medical findings, or like what we had done on site.
And the purpose of that report was to record the medical findings that you had made at the time of the incident, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And I assume it was what you've just testified to here today.
Yes.
Did you move the body in any way during the course of your treatment of the victim?
I
No,
object, Your Honor, that assumes facts not in evidence.
Again, I will entertain your objection. Proceed.
Did you move the body in any way?
no, sir. We didn't physically move him. We just kind of worked around, like in terms of putting our EKG patches, in terms of just looking at his eyes to make sure, we checked the eyes to make sure they're, fixed and dilated versus reactive, listening to lung sounds, but we were able to do all that kind of where he lay. Yeah, over.
And when you say we, you had a partner with you?
Yes. The other paramedic that was with me, he was doing documentation. I was doing all the manual parts of it with the stethoscope and all that stuff, and the pen light. And
So would you do the treatment examination and then call out to him what you were finding?
yes,
And then he prepared the final report?
correct.
Do you know how long it took you to get to the scene after you first got the call?
I want to say, sir, it was within if I remember correctly, 5-10 minutes. 5
Okay.
minutes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you did not take the 911 call.
That's correct.
So you were relayed information to go to the scene and do what you did.
Correct.
Now, when you got there, did you examine the body at all to determine if there were any visible wounds that you could find?
Yes, sir. I mean, just scanning around. Yes.
Okay, and what did you find, if you recall?
The main laceration to his neck, and I believe there was penetrating injuries to the torso, and then based off that, we kind of run down our criteria. As soon as it's penetrating, then we run down our checklist of items that we have, additional items.
Was there anyone from the police department there at the time you were conducting your examination?
They were on site, but no, they left us to do our medical, our job basically at the time. No.
So as far as taking photographs or examining the scene for evidence, you had no role in that?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you didn't see anyone at that time from the police department examining the scene?
No, sir. Not at the time.
And you said you saw a couple of civilians there, is that right?
Family members.
Yes.
I believe the daughter. Yeah, and they were when we were doing our thing. They were in the living room area, I believe.
Were they accompanied or within the presence of officers?
Yes.
Did you prepare any report as to anything they said or did or their physical appearance or attitude?
No.
Okay. Everything you're testifying to is from your memory, is that correct?
That's correct.
You can't say, as you sit here right now, even if you recognize the wife. It's okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. How did you know it was the wife?
You know, I think because the daughter, when she was there, she was screaming like "mommy." So, I was just, yeah.
So Dan, I have to interrupt you. We're going to have to take our adjournment at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be in adjournment until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. As usual, the admonition applies not to discuss this case among yourselves with anyone else or form or express any opinion until the cause is finally submitted to you. Try and be here on time. You know the elevators are slow. Have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow at 9.